Scott, though, says if Nigel Farage was worried about British values, he would be actually standing for election in the UK, not pandering to an American tyrant and sniping from the sidelines. As always, he serves only his own interests. And Andrew says, Farage's heckling got me wondering what British values are. Of course, it's cheese rolling. There is nothing more British than a bit of cheese rolling, is there, Andrew? Thank you for those texts. Let's talk to Sanjay, who's in Loughborough. Good morning, Sanjay.
Hello, morning. You're right.
I'm very well, thank you. What did you think when you heard Nigel Farage's comments?
I agreed with everything he said. And it's about time people start speaking out, people on a higher power like that, to speak out more, because he's just saying what the majority of the British are thinking anyway. I want to mainly say that I feel like the Muslims' loyalty in the UK, the majority of Muslims' loyalty is with Islam only and not British. And I've got evidence of this. What it is when this thing happened on 7th of October, which was terrible, notice how the Muslims and the far left protest against it. But a couple of years ago, when the Taliban took over Afghanistan, there wasn't a single protest anywhere. So it's like when Muslims are invading and doing wrong around the world, no one wants to protest. But then when non-Muslims react to Muslims, want to defend themselves from Islamic terror, then it's like protest. And the far left get all over the place.
But I think we're conflating two different things here. If you're talking about pro-Palestinian marches in London, yes, there have been controversial elements to those protests, and there have been people arrested at those protests for sympathising with Hamas. But it's definitely not the case that the majority of people necessarily at those protests are Muslim. Actually, there's lots of non-Muslim people there and people of no faith at those marches.
Well, the thing is, you have the Muslims protesting, then you also have the far left who join them. The way I feel is anyone who supports Palestine automatically supports Hamas, because at the moment it was about morals of right and wrong, morality. And what happened on the 7th of October was wrong from Hamas side, not Israel. Israel are just defending themselves. And also I wanted to say, the indigenous people of Israel and Gaza thousands of years ago were always Jewish people. So I don't know where this occupied land nonsense has come. So I'm just happy that Nigel has spoken out. It's good to finally get a proper view out there.
I just think the danger, though, Sanjay, is that you end up demonising a whole community, saying that they don't subscribe to British values. There are loads of examples of Muslim people in Britain who've done fantastic things for Britain, who've helped instill British values. There are Muslims who've held high office in government. There are Muslims who hold high office in all sorts of areas of our public life and do wonderful things to contribute to society. Why are we saying they don't subscribe to British values, and why are we placing more burden on Muslims to live up to whatever these values are than the rest of us?
Well, the thing is, the Muslims as the people in the UK should have to sort themselves out, and it's not the job of the non-Muslims to say anything. But when you say Muslims in higher power, like an example, Sadiq Khan, yeah, he himself is just doing things for Islam in London. He's just trying to increase Islamification of London. So he's not really bothered about anything. I'll give you an example. In 2016, when he became mayor, the first thing that happened was there was buses all over the UK saying Subhan Allah. Now, the thing is, it was only supposed to happen in London, but I was seeing buses in Loughborough driving past saying that, and I was wondering, what is going on here? Who's funding that, and why did that happen? So Sadiq Khan has a lot of influence throughout the UK, so whatever he's doing...
I don't know the case you're talking about with buses. I don't remember seeing those buses and myself, but... I just think, why... For example, there are lots of British people who don't live up to... there are lots of non-Muslim British people who don't live up to British values. Like honesty, would you say honesty is a British value?
No.
No?
As for British values...
Well, what are they then? What are British values?
See, I don't even know what British values is, because there's no...
But you're saying you agree with Nigel Farage saying that Muslims don't live up to them. So you've got to have a starting point. You've got to know what the values are. British
values, there's no such thing. However, there is something. There is loyalty to Britain and morals of right and wrong, of doing right and wrong. The thing is, when you start imposing your own ideology and way of life in a country that's already a democratic country, you'll have problems. And it shows that Islam is totally incompatible with any non-Islamic country.
Okay, Sanjay, thank you for your call. I think, the problem with this is no one can tell me what these British values are that we're supposed to be using as our starting point. If we're arguing, as Sanjay was, that Nigel Farage is right, then what are the values that we're saying aren't being adhered to? Sanjay said there's no such thing as those values. So I don't really fully understand that argument. Talk to Imran, who's from Chadwell Heath. Good morning to you, Imran.
Hi, good morning, Paul. Nigel Farage. I think his comments are I think they're gonna further push young British Muslims, but not just young British Muslims, but British Muslims in general, of all ages and different backgrounds, are going to be disengaged from this so-called democratic process. I think it's going to push people like me further out onto the fringes. I mean, if someone like George Galloway was to come onto a news channel and say, "Oh, there are some Jews who are not British and don't share British values," he would be called out as an anti-Semite. Now, I don't think what Nigel Farage said was racist. I don't think what he said in itself was racist. He has a right to say what he has to say. But let's be clear. If you were to say it about other ethnic minority people, such as Jews, you would be called an anti-Semite, right? Mm. So there's clearly an unfairness about this society. And growing up, I was born and bred here. Growing up, people always used to tell me. My teachers used to tell me, "Oh, this country we're a fair people. This society is built on fairness." But it doesn't look like that to me now. All grown up and an adult, doesn't look very fair to me. And exactly what British values are we talking about here? Are we talking about the genocide in Palestine, bombing people in tents? Is that what you call British values? That's a disgrace.
I don't think that is what we mean by British values. I don't think you can assign those values to Britain.
No, but did he not make a link with the marches, with the protests? He said that the Muslims out in protests exactly what.
Yes, but I don't think he's saying that everybody should subscribe to what Israel is doing in Gaza. I think what he's saying is that he's concerned some people in those marches support Hamas.
Well. So I will say this, right? Now, if it's okay for the BBC not to describe Hamas as terrorists, why should other people not use the terrorist?
They are a prescribed terrorist organisation under UK definition.
Fair play. But is it wrong for me to say that I support the Palestinian resistance and that they have every right to defend themselves? Is it wrong for me to say that? But you surely
don't support what happened on October the 7th.
Well.
Okay, if you have to think about it, Imran, I'm going to say goodbye. That's enough from Imran. Thanks very much. Not interested in people supporting the slaughter of any people across the planet, no matter their race, religion, or where they live. Thanks very much. Let's really try and end on a lighter note. My goodness.